Hello there, Hidden Hermit. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to do another deck showcase. I will try my best not to make it a review because I'm not very good at that, to be perfectly honest. So today we're looking at the Naked Heart Tarot. The Naked Heart Tarot was released and published in 2018 by the creator Jillian C. Wilde. And here is the box. It's a very, very nice box, and it's my understanding that it was independently produced, and yeah, overall, it's a really good job. But you'll see that right now. So I'll just take everything out here. It's a lovely wee box, very well made, very sturdy. Yeah, it's high end. It's a high end box. I would describe this. But you know, we're not here for the box. Here is the deck. Here is the little black book in this case, and it's really thick. It's incredibly comprehensive. There's a lot of information in here, and yeah, I'll admit I've read through it, and I learned a lot. To be perfectly fair, I learned a lot, and everything you need is in this wee little book. And in fact, it's a shame it couldn't be a little bit bigger, to be perfectly honest. Unfortunately, my particular copy is suffering from a wee bit of a misprint. As you can potentially see here, it jumps from page 72 and then it's repeated. So yeah, this bit's repeated from so I don't have the information from the High Priestess to the Chariot in here, which is a bit of a shame. I have done a little bit of digging online to see if this problem was endemic, if you like, and I see no suggestion that it is. So I think there's the potential that I've got a special copy, perhaps. I've got a special one, but yes, I will be referring back to the book in many instances in the course of this video. So the Naked Heart Tarot is a 79 card deck. It is as a lot of people, a lot of decks these days have this extra card. It's an extra card for the majors. This is the Naked Heart, and I do feel a bit strange about these extra cards. I mean, there are plenty of other decks that I can think of that do have the extra card, if you like. The Quantum Tarot does have, I can't even remember what it is now, but the Quantum Tarot has an extra card. The Fountain Tarot famously has the Fountain card, and they're all kind of similar. They all seem to be a higher vibration of the Fool. I actually quite like the vibe of the Naked Heart, and the Naked Heart, the deck in itself, does tend to focus on spiritual matters. So yeah, here is the Naked Heart, and the card's subtitle is Divine Purpose. And I'm not going to read it all out to you, but it's all about being on your right spiritual path, if you like. And I do like the vibe for that extra card. I think it might be a good time to show you the backs of the cards, and to be fair, the card quality is exceptional. It's really, really nice. You know, it's not too floppy, it's not too stiff. Yeah, it's good. Now, I do have some rather left field opinions of cardstock. Everything that I think is good, lots of other people slate, and vice versa. But so that's just that. But this card is very, very nice. Here's the back, and as you can see, you could easily read reversals with it. There's no way of telling what side up your card, you know, once you deal them out, if you like. So you can very well do reversals, although it does say in the book that the front images are really geared towards upright meanings, although the book does indeed contain reversals as well. So yeah, I'm going to put the Naked Heart to one side. Sorry, going back to the back of the... you've got this interesting design here, and it's a suggestion of a crystal grid to focus the card's energies. If you're into crystals and rocks and minerals, as I am, then you may find this quite helpful, I would imagine. Now, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in such things. I rarely use crystal grids, but I do use rocks and stones for their vibrational energies. But yeah, that's very, very pretty. So let's just go through the deck, shall we? Let's just have a wee look. So yeah, here we go. Starting with the majors. Here is the 4, and as you can see straight off, we've got a unicorn. We've got a unicorn, and you get a sense of the artwork straight away. It's quite minimalist. It's that the color palette is very, I'm going to use that word again, evocative. It is a beautiful deck, and I would probably pigeonhole it into my deck collection as one of the beautiful decks, but I will go into that in a little more detail later. So, but let's just crack on, shall we? So there's the 4. It's a unicorn. We got the card number at the top here, card 0, tarot key 0. You've also got the alchemical symbol in a star dot form of air, so that seems to go quite well with what we already know. Here's the Magician. Now, I will say there are some cards in this deck that I absolutely adore. I absolutely love them. Some cards not so much, but we'll get to that. But the Magician is one of them. It's a cracking image. You've got quite a lot of the... obviously, you're going to have the 4 suits represented in the image. You've got the glyph for Mercury down there, which again is on a par with tarot understanding, if you like. And you also have this all-seeing eye in here, and the book does a very good job of explaining the symbolism in each card, and I can't remember what the bones mean. Something to do with being connected to humanity, I think, but yes. The Magician, cracking card. There's the High Priestess, lovely wee owl. You've got the triple moon, the triple goddess moon. Interestingly, you do have some. That there are quite a few associations in this deck that I wouldn't say I found them confusing, but they're a bit left field to the Hermetic Order, the Golden Dawn attributions, if you like. But a lot of these will become more apparent as we go through it. You got the glyph for Venus there. I suspect just linking it up to the Divine Feminine. You've also got a kind of a crazy Mars glyph there. I don't know why it's there. I could check the book, but I'm not gonna. Tough. Okay, so we've moved on from the High Priestess, and now you usually come to the Empress, but it has been renamed the Earth Mother in this deck, and I'm completely down with that. Interesting image. You've got this this Earth Goddess image. The Earth Goddess statuettes have been found all around the world in ancient cultures, in prehistory cultures, and that's just a representation of that. I like it. And the Emperor is naturally going to be the Sky Father, and I do quite like this Emperor card. You got the glyph for Aries in there. Well done. I don't know what else I can say. It's great. Let's just crack on. The Hierophant has been named the Sage, which, well, I mean, it's interesting because Hierophants, I think the Hierophant it lends to that dogmatic religious leader, whereas a sage, I would think it would be less dogmatic, but you still have that image, that person who is in a position of authority in a religious standpoint, I think. Got the Eye of Horus in a triangle, and again the glyph for Taurus as well. The symbolism here is something very new to me. I've only been working with this deck for just under 2 weeks, and I'm actually getting on with it quite well, to be perfectly honest. Let's just crack through. There's the Lovers, 2 bald eagles being all lovey-dovey, I would say. Interestingly, yep, you've got the Gemini glyph down there. You've also got an air glyph. That's pretty cool. Here's the Chariot. This is an interesting one. It is indeed attributed to Cancer, and unlike traditional imagery that you may be more familiar with, you don't have a chariot rider, but you've got a 2-headed winged horse. Interesting. I suppose you do still get that vibe of forward motion, but two conflicting energies that might be pulling you in, or trying to pull you in different directions. When the Chariot comes up in a reading for me, I tend to see it as being pulled in two different directions, but you're handling it. You're doing a good job of staying true to your path, I would imagine. Here is Strength, a winged lion here. You've got the infinity symbol, which is again repeated from the Waite-Smith system. Glyph for Leo. Here is the Hermit. Now I do like the Hermit because this one's quite clever. There's a tortoise here. A tortoise could very well, I mean, tortoises do tend to live solitary lives, but you've got the link with the High Priestess here, which I really appreciate. I think the High Priestess and the Hermit are kind of linked, because they're thinking about, I mean, the High Priestess thinks about hidden mysteries, whereas the Hermit is trying to reveal them to us. The Hermit is indeed contemplating the mysteries within himself or herself, you know. I think the Hermit is gender neutral. So I do really appreciate that link. It's not something you see often, but yeah, I'm down with that. You've also got the Star of David up there, which in the Waite-Smith system, he's indeed hiding in the lamp up there. So yes, nice wee links there. The Wheel of Fortune. Gone are the animals on the wheel, but you still get the cardinal signs. Cardinal? No, I'm wrong. Sorry, the fixed signs that are being represented up there. Jolly good. Here's Justice. Libra. And, you know, you can see the images, like I say, very, very simplistic, very, I wouldn't say frugal. And in fact, once we go through the pips, the symbolism is quite deep, I would say, quite deep. But yeah, and again, the very nice. What I really do like about this deck is the fact that the background's white, and it does call to mind the Line Strider a little bit, if you ask me, because there are a lot of animals featured in this deck. But you shall see that pretty soon. Here is the Hangman. I appreciate the fact that it's linked to water there. Good stuff. Very cool looking fruit bat by the looks of it. Death. Now here's a cool card. Why is this a cool card? Because it, yes, it's linked to Scorpio, but you've also got the moon. The moon's waxing and waning, the different phases of the moon there, just showing that cycle, the cycle of rebirth, the cycle of, you know, coming from a place of less to a place of more. You've got the white rose, which indeed is something that's signified in the Waite-Smith system. And a lovely butterfly. The butterfly is gone from his cocoon stage and he is flying away. New birth. So yeah, I do like this death card. Temperance. Temperance, the balance of water and fire, which is interesting. Some symbolism I do not know about. Sorry. The Devil. This is an interesting card. A very interesting card. You've got the Capricorn glyph at the top there. You've got the inverted pentagram as illustrated on the Baphomet image in the Waite-Smith system. And beyond that, I mean, you've obviously got a skull here. You've got some potentially South American vibes going on there. Potentially tying into, you know, Mexico's Santa Muerte attributes. I don't know. I think, I don't know, I wouldn't say that this Devil card falls short, but I'm not getting the sense of, you know, unhealthy attachments or the idea of addiction or anything. You've got these rather strange arms flapping about, but interesting. Here's a cool card. Here's the Tower. You've got this strange Mars glyph, which is like an inverted Venus glyph, but I'm down with that. But again, a very, very evocative card. You've got this kind of watery thing going on. And it kind of brings to mind the Wildwood Tarot's Blasted Oak image, because, you know, it's less of a tower and more of a tree, linking into those natural energies, the energies of the natural world. The star is a star. Enough said. Now the moon's very interesting. Again, the moon is linked to Pisces, as it should be. You've also got the Venus, and I kind of figure that now that I've gone through the cards a little bit, I don't think it's the glyph for the planet Venus. It's just the glyph for feminine energy. You've also got water there. Now, the wolf is an interesting one because, yes, wolves howl at the moon. That's supposedly what they do. But I don't know. I kind of imagine it's just linking into that idea that wolves like the moon. And it is an idea. I'm not sure if there's a great deal of truth in that, but hey. The sun, a little bit of Egyptian imagery here. Again, quite a masculine. I'm kind of guessing that's a masculine glyph as opposed to Mars, the planet. A nice black sun as well. Kind of cool. Judgment's interesting. What is going on in this card? I do not know. You do have a rays from heaven, kinda, and you've got these inverted butterflies. I don't know, but pretty card. Eye of Horus, reversed Eye of Horus. Interesting. Here is the universe, and again, without consulting the book, I'm sure there is a particular relevance to the idea of a honeybee being on here. I don't know. And of course, the universe is traditionally known as the world. I just think this deck likes to be a little more broad-minded, and why not? Okay, so they're the majors. Let's go through the pips, shall we? I'm gonna think about 7. No, I'm not gonna bother. So, yes, there are a lot of animals in these cards, and the animals are associated with their alchemical elements. And with the ace here, you've got a nice proud-looking tiger, so you've got a feline aspect going on there. And indeed, the Queen of Wands in the Waite-Smith deck has a... Well, indeed, in quite a lot of decks, there is a feline element to the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands does link into the traditional tarot system of the cardinal fire signs. It's slightly different here, but we'll address that once we get to the court cards. The Two of Wands. I like this idea of a crystal ball, kind of replacing the glyph of the world, the symbolism of the world. Here is the Three of Wands. Now, this is where things get kind of interesting, and this is where I need to make a confession. I did kind of buy this deck on a whim. I saw some of the imagery on Instagram, and I thought, yep, I quite fancy a bit of that action. I got the deck, and my first impressions were that was, well, I don't know, is this deck a little bit shallow? Does it skim pound this? Is it an arty deck more than a deck that could be used successfully for divination or personal growth? And those were my initial thoughts surrounding the deck. However, I've changed my mind, and I've changed my mind because of one thing. The creator, Jillian C, Wilde, every Wednesday on Instagram posts comparisons with her own cards and with the Waite-Smith system, and it was the Three of Wands that really caught my eye. So what we got going on here? First of all, we've got the sun that's quite prominent, and yeah, the Three of Wands, in the traditional, if you like, the traditional astrological attributions is the sun in Aries. Now, Aries is not signified on this. However, you do get some. I really probably should. Yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to do that. We got time. Sure, we got time. So let's find the Three of Wands in the Waite-Smith deck, and this is where you're going to have to talk amongst yourselves. So yeah, I did. My initial response was, oh, this is a bit of a woo-woo deck, and it kind of is. However, its symbolism does get much deeper, I believe. So I am aping the deck creators' thoughts, if you like. Here's the Three of Wands in the Waite-Smith. So sun in Aries, as we already know. You've got this interesting parallel, and this is what really did it to me. The interesting parallel of the horizon. So, you know, if you're a novice, a tarot person, you're probably going to be more acquainted with this image, and it's just this horizon really does it for me, because, you know, the Three of Wands is that person who's looking out, is sending out, he's trying to manifest it and bring a bit of creativity, skill and growth to their life. And I'm getting off camera there, I do apologise. And you know, he's looking out towards the horizon, he's seeing those ships and his ideas go forth into the world, and it's just that one minor bit of symbolism that actually made me think, hang on a minute, I think there's more to this deck than what I originally perceived. And as we get in further, hopefully you will see that too. So I'll pick up the pace a little bit. 4 of Wands, interesting. You've got the same sort of pairing. Now I always like to think that the 4 of Wands in the Waite-Smith system contains the Emperor and the Empress potentially getting married, perhaps having a bit of a party, and you've got that pairing here as well. I do like it. So let's crack on. You've got the fire glyph up there, just letting us know that wands are indeed wandy and fiery. 5 of Wands, usually that sort of strife, that inner conflicts, outer conflicts indeed, you're getting that kind of vibe there as well. And the 5 of Wands is associated with Leo. I'm not quite sure why these arrows are here, but that's fine. That's fine. 6 of Wands, lovely little horsey going on there. And of course the 6 of Wands in the Waite-Smith does have the horse, that victory parade if you like, magnanimous victory. 7 of Wands, stand in one's ground, bit of valour and courage, and this puma-like image. Yeah, well, you don't want to cross him really, do you? The 8 of Wands, swiftness, a gazelle. So you know, the animal attributes do fit. They do fit very, very well. And yeah, and you've also got the same sort of imagery, you know, the wands flying through the air, so you get that Sagittarian swiftness going on. 9 of Wands, cheeky monkey, seems to be scaling his wands quite well. This is a cracking card. I do love this. So here's the 10 of Wands, and the 10 of Wands for me is that card that suggests that you just got to go a little bit further. You know, the burdens you're bearing, and you're not going to be bearing for much longer. And what better animal to suggest that than a camel? There's nothing to suggest this camel has having his back broken in any way. And he does appear to be under strain, but he's doing it. He's bearing his burdens. So we get to our first set of court cards here. And for starters, they are renamed. So you have the child, the youth, the mother and the father, as opposed to the page, the knight, the queen and the king. And what's interesting here is, yeah, for me personally, I know a lot of people attribute the court cards to actual people in their lives, and obviously with the suit of wands, it's going to be those fiery elements of Aries, Leo and Sagittarius. But here you get more of a flow of maturity more than anything else. And the animals in all the court cards are going to be the same. So we've got foxes here for the suit of wands. The page here is the child. So you know, you're dealing with a fresh energy that's maybe a little bit immature. But yes, I do, and I kind of like that. I do kind of like that. There is something about the court cards I don't like, but I'll discuss that in just a moment. So here is the youth or the Knight of Wands, linked with Sagittarius, which is a bit interesting. Mother of Wands or the Queen, again linked with Aries, which I agree with. And the Father of Wands, linked with the fixed sign of Leo. Nice salamander image there as well, which is, you know, it's one of the alchemical animals, the salamander there. So that's pretty cool. Let's move on to the cups. Get some more watery vibes going on here, and I do love this little tentacle going around the cup. And I'll start whizzing through them now at a bit more of a pace, I think. 2 of Cups, the love card. 2 hearts in 2 cups. Seems to make sense. 3 of Cups, the card that signifies friendship and togetherness and a little bit of a good time. Some very playful looking dolphins. I'm not entirely certain why a panda is linked to watery elements, but there you go, there's the 4 of Cups. He does look a bit bored. He's tapping into that that withdrawal and rest, and you know, the kind of the boredom vibes of the Four of Cups, which is pretty cool. Five of Cups, a blue heart, and that is kind of interesting. You know, the Five of Cups usually deals with sadness, loss, loneliness, disappointment. So your heart being blue, I like it. Yeah, I like it. The Six of Cups here, the pleasure. Now, I don't know whether or not the unicorn is linking in with the Fool somehow. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of an attribution that does link them. Who knows? Maybe we just wanted to put another unicorn in here. Okay, the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups I think is my favourite card of this deck, and I shall tell you why. So I do tend to think the interpretation of the Seven of Cups is somewhat different to the popular attributions out there. I think the tarot community in general like to see the Seven of Cups as a you know, thinking about fantasy, imagination, possibility and potential. And I don't disagree with that, but I always think it's more of an unhealthy bent. You know, you got the tot link with debauch, this idea that you could be spending too much time on your thoughts and not enough time on practical things, actually trying to manifest your imagination and your ideas. So you have this giraffe, and this giraffe really has its head in its clouds, and I love that. I absolutely love that. I think if you are trying to interpret this card on its own, that's the thing you're going to see, the head in the clouds. If you are intuitively reading this card in a spread, you're going to come to the same conclusion, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that is probably why this card is my favourite in this deck, because it just latches onto my own understanding of the interpretation of the Seven of Cups, and it does it so well and so simply. So well done, Naked Heart Tarot. Thumbs up, permit approval. Okay, let's bosh through these. Eight of Cups, a bear being somewhat slovenly. Well, I don't know, it's interesting how we look at cuddly bears and think they're slovenly, but they're really not, just because they're slow moving. But again, you get the vibe. The Nine. Now, did you see what just happened there? I tried to take one card away, and they kind of stuck together. When you first get this deck out of its box, it is just a block of cards, and it's kind of difficult to shuffle. I'll discuss that in a little more detail in a moment, but yeah, just bear that in mind. Here is the Nine of Cups. This is very, very interesting. The Nine of Cups for me is about happiness and wishes come true, and good luck coming your way, a bit of generosity. So we do have a very resplendent moon here, and the moon cycles are kind of, well, you know, they're identified there, but honestly, I'm not sure why. I think the full moon manifestation is probably the big clue here to that feeling of completeness that I think should come with the Nine of Cups. Ten of Cups, and honestly, the book does indeed tell you why the crystals are there, but I don't know. So we're on to the Cups court cards. So we've got the Child, which is a little bambino humpback whale. The Youth, which is a slightly older, the Knight, perhaps. Cracking on to the Mother, much more an older humpback whale, and finally, big fully grown manly humpback whale there. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Look at the swords. Swords, thinking about logic and reason, and I'm just going to bosh through these mostly. Two of Swords here. Now this is an interesting one. You do have the moon, and the Two of Swords is the moon in Libra. For some reason, this anchor does actually make me feel of scales, of being grounded, of being kind of fastened in place, or not, because it isn't. So it's an interesting, you know, I think some of these cards do require a bit of thoughtful contemplation, I think, would be a fair way of doing that. And yet things are imbalanced at the moment. Interesting. I do like this Three of Swords instead of a heart, which is what we're used to. We just have a rib cage, a thoracic region. Imagery is very, very similar. I think out of all decks everywhere, the Three of Swords is the one that's probably so well linked with most decks, I think. Four of Swords, I quite like this one. Again, very similar to the Waitsmith imagery. What's very, very similar is the Three Swords that are vertical and the horizontal one here. Take a break, says the Four of Swords. And this cat just taking a nap. Five of Swords with what I believe is a taupe shark. A wee little turtle. And the Six of Swords. Okay, so it's interesting. You've got some watery elements there. I mean, sharks are quite prickly in their own special way. You've got a turtle there. We've got a raccoon here. Now the Seven of Swords. Yeah, the Seven of Swords is I think sometimes it can mean a little bit of mischievousness or cheekiness. Somebody taking things from you without permission, and that is exactly what that raccoon is doing. So yeah, I kind of like that. Eight of Swords. Just going to start boshing on with these now. The Nine of Swords. This is an interesting one, and I do like the two swords there piercing that bird skull. So you're getting that idea of you know, cruelty. You know, that despair, the isolation. Again, you know, if you're intuitively reading this card in a spread, I think you're going to get the point of the Nine of Swords. And here's the 10. Ouchie. I think we can all relate to this image. Very, very similar to the Ten of Swords that were, again, in most decks. That poor rat, if that's what it is, yeah, I'd say that was a rat. I'd say it's dead. Okay, so on the court cards and the suits, we got this Black Panther here. I suppose it could be a jaguar, but I think it's a panther. Now, the only other thing that I wanted to mention about the courts, aside from their renaming, which makes sense, tapping into those maturity levels, the alchemical attributions are different to what I'm used to. So in the Hermetic tradition, the Child of Swords is earth, which it is in here, or the page. The Knight usually is a fire, so this should be fire of air, but the Knight and the King, or rather the Youth and the Father, their alchemical attributes have been flipped. So you have the air energy with the Knight, the Queen or the Mother is the same, so the water energy, but the Father is tapping into a fire energy. Now, I personally much prefer the Waitsmith top Hermetic attributes, because I think Knights are a lot more fiery than Kings or Fathers. So I do not know the rationale behind swapping it, but there it is. And yeah, that's one. I don't know. Can I honestly say that it's a misgiving about the deck? It has bothered me, if I'm being perfectly honest. Finally, let's crack on with the Pentacles. There's the Ace of Pentacles. The 2. I quite like the 2 one in there. You've got that balancing act going on. You've got the infinity sign represented. Seems to make sense. I quite like this 3 as well. That idea of you know, applying good work, and you've got a team of ants, implying teamwork indeed. If you're intuitively reading these cards, so yeah, that's pretty cool. This 4 of Pentacles is, I would say, this is the cutest card in the deck. Cheeky wee squirrel holding on to everything he's got, probably looking to bury them somewhere. Again, I think it does link very well with the 4 in the Waitsmith system. Yeah, I like it, and it's very cute. Look at him. What a cute little squirrel. 5 of Pentacles. Money broken. You got, again, I do like the imagery. I do. The 6. Not quite sure how Siamese fighting fish link into that idea of charity. Perhaps you can let me know in the comments. 7 of penalties, 7 of Pentacles. This is quite a good one as well. This idea of growth, of waiting for the harvest to mature, and you've got that pentacle on the floor there, just like in many other systems. Here's the 8, beavering away. Again, good work. The 9. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because the 9 of Pentacles is usually that image of what I like to think is the Empress in her garden, and she's holding that bird. And the flamingos are quite regal, aren't they? They're quite royal looking, and I don't know, but there you go. There's the 9. 10 of Pentacles. Nice strong elephant there. And here are the court cards. You've got this bison imagery going on here with the child, the youth, the mother, and the father. So cool, yeah. So to finish off, yeah, I mentioned earlier how this deck, because the card quality is so good, I will be honest with you, it's difficult to shuffle. I do riffle shuffle them, but I'm really worried about bending the cards. So now, I am a high volume tarot reader. I can do quite a few readings in a day, and it does require me to be able to cleanse and shuffle a deck with some swiftness, and it's something I do struggle with. It's easier now that I've been using it. It does, but as you can see, when I shuffle them, they come down in these clumps. So you do need to be very mindful to really mix this deck up. So the final thing I want to say about this deck, overall, I do like it. I believe I'm going to be hanging on to this deck. I will relish using it. I will consider using it for divination purposes. I will consider using it for personal growth purposes as well. And it's because of the hidden symbolism. I do intend to dive into the book with a lot more detail. But yeah, the final thing that I want to say about the Naked Heart Tarot is, if you are of the persuasion of using tarot as a holistic or psychological tool, if you're thinking about those practical things that tarot bring to your personal table, if you like, then I think you might be a little put out by the language in the book and the very naturalistic imagery. Because I do believe this deck is more suited to your own personal spirituality. And when you're reading the book, the word intuitive or intuition comes up so many times. The links with crystals and personal healing are all there. And I think it's absolutely fine for a deck to focus on these things, because I think that's a very important part of tarot. I just need you to be mindful that if you are more, you're more, I hate to say this because I don't agree with it, but if you're more grounded in reality and you're more interested in the psychological, realistic and practical sense that tarot can bring to you, then I don't think this deck is really for you. I'm going to demonstrate doing a riffle shuffle, and you'll see me struggle. So the cards are just so good that they kind of stack at the end there. So yeah, that's just my final thought. But overall, I really like this deck. I think it's incredibly well made. It's a pleasure to handle. Some of the cards, especially that 7 of Cups, I absolutely adore, and I'm very pleased that I own this deck. So finally, let's just draw a card just for the sheer hell of it. So let's see, what are we going to go for here? Let's do a wee 3-part card. So Naked Heart Tarot, give me a message. Look at that, 4 of Swords. Go and take a break. Go. You've worked really hard, Hermit. Go and get some rest. Okay, I am the Hidden Hermit. Thank you very much for watching this deck showcase. I shall see you next time. Thank you.